Okay, after a much needed break, I've managed to suppress some of my Doom-induced PTSD, and I'm ready to get back into Sunlust. If you missed the first part of my journey through my all-time favourite Doom MegaWAD, I'll put the link in the description, but all you really need to know is that I've slowly murdered my way through 15 regular levels and 2 secret levels. There are 15 levels remaining, the difficulty is slowly climbing, and so are my stress levels. There's some serious slaughter ahead. Oh, and because it bears repeating from the last video, yes, I'm playing on the easiest difficulty, yes, I'm using mouse hook, yes, I quick save almost constantly, no, I have no pride. But I'm sticking to my promise to show every death and reload. Okay, let's get back into it with level 16, Lost Antiques. This is a relatively unsophisticated map in terms of level design, instead opting for fairly straightforward large-scale battles that are nonetheless very well executed. It won't come as a surprise to anyone that this large door conceals a horde of demons. I mean, it definitely wasn't going to be a surprise party with cake and balloons and all your old school chums singing happy birthday, was it? And this open area is definitely going to play host to a smorgasbord of violence at some point, but it doesn't quite happen right away. Collect the blue keys and nothing. Activate these 2 switches and... okay, a few spider demons. A little underwhelming. How about this switch here, the one surrounded by health, armor, ammo, and a BFG? Oh yeah, that was the one. A horde of pinky demons and revenants, backed up by a couple of archviles and more revenants. Fortunately, I've got cells to spare, even enough to obliterate a single pinky demon with a dedicated BFG blast just for him, for some reason. I hope he felt honoured. Actually though, there's a tougher battle yet to come. This ambush leads to some close quarters combat, and it turns out revenant rockets and enclosed spaces don't mix. I get down to 20% health, but the level designers were still feeling generous at this point, and there's a megasphere nearby. The level exit is located in this ominously visceral little hellscape, and it kills you when you step through it, stripping you of your health and weapons for the next level. So the fact I had full health and armor and very nearly full ammo for everything actually means nothing. Hooray! Level 17, the Womb. Remember how at the end of my first Sunlust video I promised my death counter would be going up? Well, this is where the climb starts in earnest, because now the game really wants you dead. There's a bunch of chain gunners down in this area, but they take themselves out rather effectively, which is handy as I only have a pistol. What's somewhat more worrying though is I can hear an archvile burning some chain gunner asses. That's fine for now, but when it runs out of chain gunners, it's my ass that's going to be on the chopping block. Well, not the chopping block I guess, that's a poor metaphor, unless the block's on fire of course. Well, I can't see where it's gone, but I can see a chain gun or 2 which would be nice to add to my collection, so I jump down. Big mistake. There's more than one archvile, and after I foolishly grabbed the yellow key in a panic, there are more than 2. Plus, there are still several chain gunners running around. I run to a corner, but I don't have much ammo, and I end up, sigh, trying to punch an archvile to death. That's a really low moment for a Doom player, especially when there are 2 more archviles lined up behind it. A few chain gunners get resurrected and then, amusingly, instantly murdered by an archvile, so I get a few more bullets from them, but yeah, this was only going to end one way. So that's death number 2. Death number 3 comes less than a minute later. This time, for lack of a better idea, I grab the yellow key, hit the yellow switch, and run to the area that opened up. Whereupon, a bunch of imps and barons of hell teleport in, and backed up by all those archviles, make my last few seconds of life very painful indeed. Okay, that didn't work, but maybe I can run into the area unlocked by the yellow switch, grab the rocket launcher, and retreat to a safer position to blast away from a distance. Nope. Demons are teleporting in from everywhere and there's just no safe spaces to be found. Death number 4. Right, this time I'll try... Actually, I have no idea what I was thinking this time. I die even quicker, in the same corner I died the first time round. Death number 5. Next time, a breakthrough. And one that really should have come a bit quicker. As should have been immediately obvious, enemies that step on the big teleporter in the centre of the room are being teleported straight into a crusher nearby. And when you only have a few bullets at your disposal, getting a crusher to do your dirty work for you is a viable strategy. So with a bit of effort I lure the Archviles one by one to their deaths. Now there's the small matter of the army of Imps, Hell Knights and Barons that teleport in when I grab the rocket launcher. The rocket launcher is great, but it's not much use when you let yourself get cornered and have to choose between blowing yourself up with your own rockets or getting your face ripped off by an angry Baron. Yep, that's death number 6. On my next attempt, by being a bit more agile and a bit more sensible, I managed to survive. Just. Fortunately, the game sees fit to hand me a good amount of health and a BFG, and I managed to struggle through the rest of the level without dying. Well, except for right at the end, because guess what? Yep, death is the only way out. I guess those Archviles get their revenge after all, because now it's my turn to get crushed. Level 18, Mu Cephei. If you know your astronomy, you know that Mu Cephei is a star, a red supergiant, and one hell of a big one, even by supergiant standards. The star theme continues. Anyway, you get to keep your weapons despite dying at the end of the last level, and there's a megasphere right here, so that might make you wonder what the point of starting you with 1% health is. Well, here's a clue. On Ultraviolence, that megasphere is replaced with a mega armor, so you're stuck running around on 1% health until you can find more, knowing that one hit from anything will kill you. Oh yeah, and there's a spider mastermind in the corner that can shoot you from across the map, leaving you wondering just why the hell you're suddenly a small puddle of blood on the ground. And that's why I'm not playing on Ultraviolence. I'm not up for that kind of challenge. Even on the easier setting, with its immediate gift of a megasphere, this level is kind of brutal. It has a relatively open layout, so death can come from any angle, and that spider mastermind isn't just an Ultraviolence thing. Also, this is another level where doing pretty much anything causes another wave of enemies to appear. Even walking in the wrong place can cause demonic hordes to suddenly appear, and I do mean suddenly. I'm not a huge fan of having enemies just pop in out of thin air without even the traditional teleporter effect to give at least some rationale as to why they're there, and I'm surprised the designers do it so often. Still, this is a very minor quibble. Ultimately, this level is a series of arena-style fights, the most dangerous of which takes place in what really does look like an arena. And when I say dangerous, that's death number 7. On the next attempt I come very close to dying again, but I managed to make it to the megasphere in time. And then it's on to the next level. Level 19, Blood Geometry. This map starts you basically eye to eye with the Cyber Demon and a bunch of his Baron lackeys, so moving away quickly is a good option. You also have the option of telefragging the Cyber Demon a little later, thus saving you some ammo, but ammo isn't my main issue, and I don't like letting these bastards live longer than absolutely necessary, so I take it down from here. And it's not your last opportunity to tangle with a Cyber Demon, as another one pops up in the middle of this pitch battle with Mancubuses, Mancubi, and other infernal riffraff. I actually lose a lot of health here, but fortunately my clumsy circle strafing doesn't quite get me killed. My health also gets low in this battle, but again I scrape through, and the death counter doesn't climb any higher on this level. As for the next level though, level 20, Inverti in Darkness. And this is where the game stops wanting you dead and starts demanding your death. Honestly, this is one of the most memorable and one of the best maps in the bunch. Once again, you start off surrounded by a large number of enemies, and a confusing open environment scattered with branching paths, barriers, switches, and items. The best thing to do is just kill whatever comes into your field of view while trying to orient yourself within your surroundings. For too long, you'll find your way to the yellow key, and getting it isn't too much of a challenge. The level hasn't bared its fangs just yet. The obvious next step is the yellow switch, which opens the way to a teleporter that takes you to one of the most dickishly designed rooms in all of Doom. Honestly, I can just hear the designer chuckling to himself as he put it together. It's basically just a small corridor that forms a square with an offshoot at one end, but every metre of that corridor is lined with doors, and when you walk past them they open to reveal, well, just a whole variety of nastiness, really. On my first attempt, I just did a quick circuit of the place. Every door opened at once, and, well, as you can probably guess from my use of the phrase first attempt, it didn't end well for me. Death number 8. On my second attempt, I'm a bit more circumspect, and I only open a couple of doors at a time. That makes it all a bit more manageable. Then, with everything dead, I press this switch and things suddenly get a lot less manageable. As you can possibly tell, I panicked, and ran straight into a cyber demon and a couple of newly arrived archviles, all packed into a rather small area. So I was trapped between a rock and a hard place, or in this case, a rocket and a hearth place. Get it? Like a hearth, like a fire might have, because archviles set you on fire? Okay, that one needs some work. Death number 9. Clearly my strategy also needs work, as do my rocket dodging skills. Curse my dodderiness. Damn, I really suck. Eventually though, the cyber demon dies. With their rocket-wielding buddy dead, these archviles aren't much of a problem, so I grab the megasphere and the red key and head back to the main section of the level. Activating the red switch reveals a floating sea of red and blue that also happens to shoot fireballs. It's rather beautiful in a way. It's also enough to exhaust a full supply of rockets and most of my cells. Fortunately, there are plenty more lying around. And it really is fortunate because this level isn't over, not by a long shot. Next up we have a battle with a cyber demon and a slowly advancing army of imps. And I feel kind of cornered. There are archviles waiting around the corner, ready, willing and eager to blow me away if I go too far forward. The cyber demon's getting close. I should probably switch to the BFG, but that's a realization that comes too late. Death number 10. Next time I don't hesitate to get out the old BFG, but I run short on ammo so I duck into this alcove to get more. Big mistake. Death number 11. Next attempt, and I just stick with the old dependable plasma rifle. Then I randomly punch the air for no apparent reason because I'm bad at switching weapons. Fortunately, this must be enough to intimidate the cyber demon because he dies a couple of seconds later. Okay, now after clearing out all those archviles, I'll just activate this elevator and immediately be ambushed from behind. You'd think I'd be constantly expecting stuff like this by now, but nope, this nearly gave me a heart attack. Having just survived that, both in-game and in real life, there now comes a little relief. I find a secret that teleports me to an invincibility, and that's really handy because there's another close quarters battle on the way. And now, the sign says exit, so this level is finally over. No, of course it isn't. There's still this massive battle with the Spider Mastermind, 2 cyber demons and revenants shooting from the darkness. And then, when you press this switch, the whole area is inundated with chain gunners and pain elementals. Oh joy, the perfect combination. And finally, when you kill all of them, or more likely give up on fighting and just run into the exit, the game goes ahead and kills you anyway. After all that, another forced death. Honestly though, death might be a welcome respite after that behemoth of a level. Oh well, better scrape myself off the floor and head to the next map, Entering Aquatic Desert. And that is actually its full name, so the load screen says Entering Aquatic Desert. Amusing. Anyway, it's another level where you walk into a room with a bunch of demons facing away from you. Which really begs the question, doesn't that make them terrible at their jobs? Shouldn't they actually be watching the portal through which an angry space marine may appear at any moment? And what were they looking at anyway? Was there a big performance happening by the demonic equivalent of insert relevant pop star here? I mean, Taylor Swift? Well, whatever it was, they leap into action when I announce my presence, but I swear I can see in their eyes a little guilt over their dereliction of duty. This is another small but intricate and well-designed map that packs a lot of interest into limited space. There are a couple of outdoor arenas. Hey, maybe that's where the Taylor Swift concert was happening. One of which features a Spider Mastermind. You're supposed to telefrag it by running through a nearby portal, but if you're an idiot like me, you can waste valuable minutes of your life shooting it with the super shotgun while dancing around a pole. Pole dancing, I guess. Overall, it's a good level, a definite step down in difficulty and brutality from the last level though. And the next level, Black Rabbit, is a step back up. I'm starting to get the impression the designers have some sort of obsession with starting levels with a bunch of enemies facing away from you. It's happening too often now to be a coincidence. Anyway, it's another small level, but one that's genuinely a bit of a puzzle to navigate. It's also tightly packed with danger. I managed to make hard work of this fight, although ultimately most of the damage I take is self-inflicted thanks to careless rocket usage. I survived, but now I'm kind of stuck. I've got the blue key and hit the blue switch, but there's a yellow switch right next to it and I have no yellow key and no idea how to get to it. I wander around for a while and even end up throwing myself off the side of the level to see if there's anything down there. Nope, just a sea of damaging slime and death number 12. After wandering around for another good little while, I finally notice this little notch in the wall that lets you drop down to an area below that isn't just lethal slime. Now I can activate both switches, which of course surrounds you with monsters. Revenants to the left of me, Hell Knights to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with, well, a megasphere fortunately, plus enough cells to fend off my foes, even after I get backed into a corner. On to level 23, In Flight. And yes, it's another relatively small but puzzling level. It's actually one of those maps that seems to put more emphasis on its environment and layout than it does on actual combat, and that's fine by me. I've said before that exploration is my favourite element of Doom levels. There's a rather intriguing area where multiple yellow keys are strewn about on the floor. You don't have to collect them all, but as you pick them up a horde of monsters is released, naturally enough. Amusingly though, the type of monster you'll be facing and how many keys you need to collect to unleash them is advertised in a way by these harmless mannequins standing on a podium. I have to imagine I've wandered into a sort of hellish department store. Yes, I'd like the horde of archviles, please. Very well, sir. That'll be 3 yellow keys. Other than that, this map consists of intricate caves, ledges, pitfalls, and demon-filled hallways. It's another well-designed map, even if it's not the most interesting to talk about. So, on to level 24, Dying on Cue. And I'd say this marks the start of Sunlust's final and most deadly chapter. There's no respite from here on, it's pure vengeful brutality through to the end. This level starts in a small, cramped cavern, but with every step you take it seems to get less small, more cavernous, and much more infested with hellspawn, as walls open up and demons are unleashed. Make it through that, and now you're in an outdoor labyrinth, but the design philosophy of the map remains basically the same. As walls are lowered and new areas are revealed. Eventually you'll find a teleporter to what seems to be some sort of revenant podium dancing club. There's certainly enough of the bastards looking down on you. There's also a cyberdemon, plus a tricksy BFG that teleports away and seems to unleash an archvile. That's really not a fair trade. Worse is yet to come. That was one archvile. This is, lots of them. However many it is, it's enough to blow you to smithereens in seconds if you're not smart enough to scout out some cover, which apparently I am not. Death number 13. I make it through okay next time though, only to come face to face with one of Sunlust's most amusing little inventions. Hit this switch and a horde of demons will be propelled out of the darkness as if blown along by some infernal wind, and I'll leave the fart jokes to your imagination. You can try to shoot rockets down that tunnel, but they'll just come back and demolish your face. So you just have to hang back and try to kill the demons as they emerge. The thing is, there's a lot of them. A hell of a lot. And while it's all just imps at first, before too long there are revenants and hell knights too. With enough circle strafing they tend to congregate in the centre where the four crushers help to thin their ranks, but fortunately there's enough ammo to make that unnecessary. It'd be easier if I had that BFG though, and clearly there's a lot of this level I haven't uncovered. There were a couple of red switches, but I never found the red key. Oh well, that's for another time. For now, it's on to level 25, Proxion. Wow, a level that doesn't start you right behind a bunch of oblivious hellspawn. Instead, it presents you immediately with a choice. There are 2 possible paths, and if it looks like I'm hesitating, it's because I am. I can't remember specifically what's down each path, but, well, either way it's going to be an absolute slaughterfest with me at the centre, because what else is there at this point? Eventually, I commit to a direction. Press this switch and bad things are coming, aren't they? The wall slowly lowers to reveal... Ah, Hell Knights. Could have been worse. Could have been much, much worse. Oh, there's an archvile coming from behind them and resurrecting those which were first to fall. I take a hit from it due to my cockiness, but still could have been much worse. Will this switch provide that much worse scenario? Well, no, as it happens. It provides a cyber demon, but it's safely trapped a bit of a distance away, so all I need to do is not totally fail at dodging. Which I don't. And the Knights and Barons are in stasis or something, but I'm guessing that's only temporary. I guessed right. Get close enough and they come to life, and not only that, they make room for more horrors to teleport in. Doesn't really seem worth it, but I feel safer with them dead. Eventually this path leads to the red key, which means it's now time to take the other road diverging in the yellow wood. Sorry, that's a pretentious reference even by my standards. But yes, time to take the other path and face the inevitable nightmare it'll lead to. And this one is actually a little tougher. There's a cyber demon standing on high that's a pain to take out, and for one of the very few times in this entire map pack I've run out of cells. So it's rocket time. They're effective enough, sure, but there's also a swarm of lost souls flying around, so it's inevitable one's going to get in my way eventually, and cause me to blast a rocket into my own face. I end up having to be quite careful with my rocket usage, which doesn't really suit my temperament. Fortunately, from there it's a relatively short trip to the yellow key, and the level exit isn't tough to reach after that, so it's goodbye to this fairly simple but very intense level. And on to level 26, Kinetics, another short but sweet and painful map that, yes, presents you with a bunch of enemies facing away from you. Seriously, did the designers have a fetish for Hell Knight buttocks? The first main room you'll encounter is large, square, and has a BFG in the middle of it. Of all the clear signs that a room is about to become a battle arena, this may be the most obvious of all. So, of course, you hit the button, the wall starts lowering, and cacodemons. Lots and lots of cacodemons. In an enclosed space. Rockets are too dangerous, with them swarming right in your face, and kinetic weapons are too slow, so cells it is, even if I might prefer to keep them stockpiled. And when the wall finally lowers, that means it's Cyber Demon o'clock. Not only that, apparently it's Cyber Demon o'clock on the first of Take a Rocket to the Face Vember. Having survived that, it's time for the scariest enemies in this level, these inanimate carbon blocks. You're supposed to use them as stepping stones, and okay, this time I managed at first attempt, but I replayed this level later and I swear it took me several minutes. You have to stop precisely or you'll slide off, and honestly this sort of thing causes me more stress than a million archviles. But this time I get off easy. This big fight gets a little stressful too because I'm low on cells, but it's not too bad. And there's a handy megasphere near the exit, so I'll be starting the next level with full health and armor. Except I won't. And this time it's my own dumb fault, rather than due to a forced death. Level 27 is Emerald Spire, and the thing is, I forgot to record my playthrough of this level. Once I realised I no longer had a save point for it, so I punished myself by just doing a pistol start. That's 100 health, no armour, no weapons or ammo other than a pistol and 50 bullets. Honestly, even on the easiest setting, I was wondering if I'd be up for the challenge. Well, it sure made things tougher. But you get a rocket launcher right off the bat, plus a supercharge, and you don't have to go too far before you get a chain gun as well. But there are some real bullet sponges around here. And then, hooray, super shotgun. Now I feel a bit better about things. And here's a plasma rifle. Yep, things are looking up. Of course, you might have noticed that Spider Mastermind hanging around, and it's going to take a serious ammo investment to take it out. Except, no it's not. Hit this switch, run super fast to the teleport it lowered, and you can telefrag the Spider Mastermind with no mess and no fuss. Well, okay, quite a lot of mess. Bloody, brainy mess. And okay, some fuss too. I didn't quite manage it on my first attempt. So that was death number 14. Anyway, there's some much needed armour here too. I'm still short on cells though, which makes this fight a little tougher than it might have been, and I continue my trend of blasting rockets into my own face. Honestly, it's a miracle I still have eyebrows. I get pretty low in this next major battle too, but there's still plenty of health lying around. Also, joy of joys, there's a backpack, doubling my ammo capacity. Very handy. I'm still lacking a BFG though. Which doesn't matter too much at the moment, as I don't really have the cells for it. So it's rocket time again for the last major battle of this level. Oh wait, there's a BFG right here. But everything's dead now. Oh well, at least I'll have it going into the next level. And that's level 28, Maelstrom. And I'm just going to say it now, these last 3 levels are 3 of my all-time favourite Doom maps. They're the culmination of everything Sunlust does well. Everything has been building towards this. They're simply brilliant. This level, unlike so many others, starts you in an area totally by yourself. It's a little island of silence, well, apart from the perfectly eerie music. You can wander around and enjoy the ominous serenity, but eventually you're going to have to pick a teleporter and step through to face whatever's on the other side. I picked the blue one and am rewarded with Hell Knights, plus a side helping of cyber demons ready to catch me in their crossfire. I take it slow but steady. This is no time for gung-ho heroics. Apart from anything else, that wouldn't match the subdued atmospheric soundtrack. The blue key isn't too tough to find after that. I do kind of wish I had more ammo though. But for now, it's back to the central hub and through the yellow teleporter. And here we have, well, I count 10 rows of 12 imps and maybe a few more up the back, and some mancubuses. Mancubi? Did I reach a verdict on that one? Whatever. They'll all be dead soon. And, yeesh, another rocket to my own face. I'd suggest making it a drinking game, take a shot every time I do that, but my ineptitude could cause the deaths of millions through alcohol poisoning. Nevertheless, I make it to the yellow key with my eyebrows still intact. Now, with both those keys, the exit is accessible, and of course it kills you. Pretty quick level, you might be thinking. Well, yes, and no. I only got 37% kills. This one, I think, warrants further investigation, so I reload and see if I can uncover a bit more of this level's secrets. So that red key is still sitting on a pole in the middle of the island with all the teleporters, so clearly I've got to figure out how to get it down. And that takes some time and quite a bit of wandering around. First, I find a switch I either missed or which wasn't previously accessible in the yellow key area. It releases a swarm of hellspawn, Natch, but it also uncovers another switch. This in turn opens the way to a teleporter and another tough battle, of course. At the end of which is another giant slaughterfest. This level is unrelenting. This one very nearly kills me as I take 2 more rockets to the face. At least this time they didn't come from my own damn rocket launcher. And then, after very nearly killing me, it very actually kills me. Death number 15. I make it through on my next attempt though, and now the red key has come down to earth. With that in hand, I now have the honour of accessing this area. And look, there's no really clever or interesting way to analyse this next section. It's just a giant room with a whole heap of enemies and an equally vast quantity of health and ammo. This is simply classic Doom carnage on a large scale. For the entree, there's a seemingly infinite number of barons and revenants off to one side, and the wise thing to do would be to take them all out first. But my attention span can't handle that, so I shoot the big switch to get the real action underway. First main course, many cyber demons and many more barons and knights. Delicious. Second course, spider masterminds and archviles soaked in a rich cacodemon sauce. An acquired taste perhaps, but there's an invincibility pickup to help wash it all down. And as for dessert, well, that presents itself in the form of a second secret exit. Going through this one won't kill you, so you get to start the next level with full health and armor, and all your weapons and ammo. And believe me, that's a good thing, because this next level, oh boy. Level 29, and it's called... Look, I don't mind a bit of swearing. It's not something I do often in real life though. I try to choose my words a bit more carefully. But I have no problem telling you the name of level 29, which is Go Fuck Yourself. It's an apt name, it really is. Whether you imagine it's what the designer is saying to the player, or what the player is saying to the designer after trying this level on ultra-violence, it's a fitting title. And this map is notorious for reasons other than its name. When Doomworld, the website that is the repository of all things Doom related, listed their top 100 most memorable maps of all time, Go Fuck Yourself came in 11th. Personally, I'd have put it higher. The first thing you might notice in this level is the music. It's great, and that's no surprise, as it's actually a tune from Streets of Rage 2, a series that ranks highly on the list of all-time best 16-bit soundtracks. The second thing you might notice is a cyberdemon's ass. My demon buttock fetish theory is gaining credibility. Taking out the cyberdemon isn't a huge challenge, but this room quickly becomes a rather energetic little kill box. Once you've murdered everything you can see and flicked every switch you can find, you'll open a path to this area. And this is the room that truly earns Go Fuck Yourself its name, and its reputation. There's a cyberdemon, sure, but that's just the warm-up. When you press this button, two things happen. Firstly, the central pillar rises to reveal a large group of archviles. Secondly, imps start teleporting into the room in frankly obscene numbers. And this is where the ingenious but purely evil creativity of the designer becomes apparent. You simply can't kill the archviles on the central pillar. If you tried, they'd blast you into oblivion, or the imps would rapidly overwhelm you. All you can do is stay behind cover while taking out the imps, and you better do it quickly or they'll overwhelm you anyway. But you might have noticed that the cover, such as there is, isn't staying still. And that means you can't stay still either. You need to follow it around the circular space, killing imps as you go, knowing that if you fall behind or get too far ahead, your lifespan will be measured in milliseconds. So that's what I do. This is truly tense stuff. I run out of cells, but by that point, thank God, the steady stream of imps has ceased. Oh wait, there was one more. When you press the buttons on either side of the room, the central pillar comes back down, this time crushing the archviles into a fine paste. It can take a while though, and I get bored and start expediting the process with rockets. Of course, I'm dicing with death given my low health and predilection for blowing myself up, but by some miracle I don't die, and now I have the yellow keycard. The rest of the level seems kind of tame by comparison, but in truth it's still pretty damn brutal. This outdoor area gives you two cyberdemons to contend with, each of them slowly encroaching from different directions. And then it's time for another classic bit of Doom carnage, as there are many dozens of enemies between you and the exit. It's actually a valid tactic here to run to the end of the room, hit the switch, and then just let the demons kill each other for a few seconds while the bars lower into the ground, and then run for the exit. But where's the fun in that? If you don't get at least some inherent pleasure out of killing demons, Doom may not be the game for you. Okay, time for me to take a deep breath, gather what wits remain to me, and enter the last level, level 30, God Machine. And what a way to finish off the game. This level too made the aforementioned list of the top 100 most memorable maps in 27th place, and yeah, it deserves its spot. It's very much a map of two halves. You start in silent, eerie darkness. The only illumination comes from torches and yellow lights in the distance. The only sound is the incredibly atmospheric music, which actually comes from the PlayStation version of Doom. A good choice, I feel. A passage leads off to the left, and I follow it down into the depths. The floor is strewn with corpses of both demons and my fellow space marines, and still all is silent. There is only death here. But then, press these buttons and this strange machine opens up. Press the third button and it starts to do its job. Suddenly the corpses are no longer corpses. They're alive, or whatever passes for alive when you're Hellspawn, I guess, and they're very angry. I really appreciate the wordless storytelling that happens here, and in fact over the course of the whole Sunlust experience. Yes, it's mostly the product of my own imagination, but I like to think the whole thing has been about the demons harnessing the power of the stars themselves to fuel an infernal device that can bring demons back to life, and maybe even create new ones. In any case, this monster of a level has only just begun. The upper reaches are still disturbingly quiet, and for a time most of my efforts are spent on finding my way around the large gloomy caverns, hitting switches and activating floor plates. It's a sometimes confusing area, but it's well designed enough to always keep you intrigued and moving forward. Eventually I find my way to this room and... okay, cyber demons are scary, archviles are scarier, but 3 megaspheres lined up in a row like this, that's the ultimate terror in Doom. Because you know, if the game thinks you're going to need that much health and armor, it's really got something nasty to throw at you. And yep, this definitely counts as nasty. But I have a trick up my sleeve. I remember there's a hidden switch that, when activated, causes these cyber demons to be instantly telefragged. But it's not at this end. Death number 16. Next attempt. Ah, there it is. Bye bye cyber demons. This makes the fight a lot easier, and everything dies in short order. And then, a lot of it comes back to life when several archviles teleport in. Fortunately, the fact they seem more interested in resurrecting their allies than actually killing me works in my favour. I'd rather have Hell Knights pelting me with green fireballs than archviles nuking me to death any day. The next major hazard is this area, littered with the corpses of chain gunners. Well, okay, it's not that hazardous yet, but you can probably guess what's on the agenda here. And it's not just resurrected chain gunners I've got to worry about, as the skies are once again alive with the rather beautiful lights of a cacodemon storm. With them out of the way, the path to the final section of the level, and indeed of the game, has been opened. And here ends my narration of events. There's no point even trying to describe the insanity that takes place from this point on. Oh wait, there is one thing I need to mention, I guess. My 17th and last death of the run, which actually happens about 20 seconds into this final epic battle and somehow creates a startlingly beautiful glitch effect. But after a quick reload, the ultimate assault begins in earnest. And yes, I won't try to describe it, I'll just put together some highlights to play in the background as I summarise my thoughts on Sunlust. Honestly, the best way I can put it is what I said in my Game of the Decade video a couple of months back. I played the new Doom reboot at roughly the same time as I played Sunlust for the first time, and while the reboot was great, I genuinely had more fun with Sunlust. And I've continued to enjoy it as I played through it again for these videos. It honestly is the most fun I've had with Doom since those early heady days when it was all so incredibly new and exciting. Of course, Sunlust doesn't really break new ground. Instead, it shows us that the old ground is still rich and fertile. That incredibly creative circular archvile room with the moving cover, that doesn't use any new additions to the engine or anything. That's a room that could conceivably have been done in Doom 2 back in 1994, maybe with a tad fewer enemies to stop PCs at the time blowing up. But it took decades of learning, modern design sensibilities, and a couple of genuinely ingenious minds to come up with it. And although Sunlust does make use of other enhancements to the underlying technology, such as the removal of limits to the number of enemies and the complexity of the geometry, in every important way it stays true to the heart of Doom. And the consistency is amazing. There are no bad levels. Hell, there are no mediocre levels. I think the harshest criticism I had for any map throughout these 2 videos was to say that it was nothing special, and then immediately clarify that it was still pretty damn good. As for the difficulty, on I'm Too Young to Die it was perfectly pitched for someone like me. I felt challenged at every step along the way, and yet I also often felt like a Doom god as my enemies melted before me. For the designers to create that illusion, for them to make even someone as pathetic as me feel like a Doom god, is a minor miracle. Hell, they've even got me wondering if I could maybe one day get good, as the cool kids say, and tackle the whole thing on ultraviolence. Maybe I'll give it a go. I'm sure the results will be comical. Well, time to finally wrap this thing up. As calm descends over the battlefield at last, I make my way to the glowing yellow structure that is the game's ultimate goal. It sinks into the ground, a demonic death cry is heard, and the end text appears. You closed the Hell portal, or maybe you deactivated the Hell device, or killed the big bad Hell boss, or something. Fuck it, I'm not getting paid to write this. That's actually a little disappointing. I genuinely thought they'd put some effort into environmental storytelling throughout the game. Even the level names were intriguing and clearly had some thought put into them. I thought they might have given the end text a little bit of effort at least. But this is the most minor of complaints. Like I said, most of the story was done through environmental means, not text. So, in a way, this is a fitting end. Okay, thank you for watching what has turned out to be my biggest project yet. Please remember to like, subscribe, etc, etc. I'm not sure what's next on my agenda, but I'm looking forward to finding out. Until then, get off my lawn.